But with a man that's doing so much community work, right?
I don't do community work no more. Community.
Okay.
I ain't
he killed it.
When I do my comedy shows, I make it my business to go into the community to find a black restaurant, a black business, a black organization, a black mother, a black child, and I give directly to those people from my back end money. After that, the community. Let's go to the strip club. Let's go tip them hoes. Yeah. Let's go bless who Jesus walked with. Them hoes. Let's take me to the strip. The community. I understand now. They say when you know better, you do better. It's much more better to sow into a hoe than it is to sow into a child. God will bless you more. Jesus walked with a hoe. He didn't walk with a child. And he was blessed for it.
Where did it change? Why did it change? Like, cause you definitely. I watch these videos of you. I've seen them. They pop up in the memories, right? We see the videos of you going to these town halls and having these conversations, and really, like, you can't get more passionate than you've been in these meetings and having these conversations.
This is what changed, and I want y'all to listen to me good. I was flown to Washington, D.C. because we was trying to get juvenile life without parole abolished in America. And so the Millen Graham ruling had just came about. So I was working with the Campaign Fair Sentencing of Youth. I was part of a national organization that was called ICANN, Incarcerated Children Advocacy Network. So I was part of these two organizations based out of Washington, D.C. So we would meet every year for a national convening, and we would go up on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. and meet with like over 50 U.S. congressional members to get them to at least sign upon the bill. So I noticed that prior to me joining this national organization, I never knew that children in America could get life without parole at 12 years old. So there's not many states that will do it, but Texas, Florida is a state that'll give a 12-year-old life without parole. So I never knew that existed. And until then, it was only 3 countries on planet Earth that will take a 12-year-old kid and give them life without parole. That was America, Sudan, and North Korea. So here I am going to Washington, D.C., and all of my homeboys, they done got 40 years because in the state of Texas, that's the maximum sentence of a juvenile is 40 years. So I seen do 25 years, 28 years, 29 years, 30 years from crimes they committed when they was 12 years old. So once I got introduced to ICANN and the Campaign Fair Sentencing of Youth, homie, it blew my mind that a 12-year-old could receive a death sentence to die in prison.
Cold.
So, but one thing I noticed is they would fly all of us up, homie, from all around the country, people who had juvenile life without parole, people who had done a very lengthy sentences from when they was youth. They would fly us to Washington, D.C., and we would stay up there a week. They would put us up in the nicest hotels. We would be on Capitol Hill, and man, they would train us. They would give us the verbiage, the language. Man, they would give us the narratives, everything to go walk into these congressmen's office to get them to vote for us to abolish life without parole for juveniles in America. Mm-hmm. And I noticed once we went back home, let me just say this. The last night before we would leave, they would do a fundraiser. And we would go to this building that when you look outside the windows, you can see Capitol Hill, you can see D.C. Homie, it was a great view. And they would have all the lobbyist organizations that you can think of who would be in support of this bill. The NFL, homie, Starbucks, homie, it was so many people. So they would do a fundraiser. Our last night there. And they would get all of our stories and they would tell our stories to a group of millionaires, a group of congressional members, and once they get through telling our stories, they would say, pull out your phones and y'all donate. And homie, I would watch these people raise millions of dollars. Millions of dollars because the Campaign for Sentencing of Youth, the Incarcerated Children Advocacy Network was all 501c3s. So I started paying attention and understanding the difference between a 501c3 and a 501c4. One of them is a nonprofit, one of them is a for-profit. And so I started noticing that when we go to Washington, D.C. every year, homie, when it's time to fly back home, they done raised all this money, but they're not helping us with our little small organizations back home. They're not helping us pay the parking fees that we done accumulated when we get back home. So we done spent a week up here, homie. So some people struggling to pay their phone bill. So I noticed they wasn't helping to empower and equip us to be better community leaders when we got back home. It was all for us to come up here and they raise money to pay their salaries, to pay their lights.
Off your story, off your back.
Yeah, homie. And they get the recognition. These are their careers. So I had my own nonprofit at the time. And so I was peeping game. And so this one particular time I was coming back from Washington, D.C. and at the time, there was a guy by the name of Bart LeBeau. Bart LeBeau was the executive director of the Annie Casey Foundation. And anybody familiar with the Annie Casey Foundation, they are a 501c4 who gives money to the 501c3s throughout America, based out of Washington, D.C. So you can't get a bigger grant than the Annie Casey Foundation. So at the time, Mr. LeBeau, Bart was the executive director. So his wife was doing she was doing a retreat in Louisiana, like right outside of Baton Rouge. So I flew from D.C., went to Baton Rouge and stayed at Bart's house for a couple of days. And Bart is a former member of the Weather Underground, if you're familiar with those people, man, back in the 60s and the 70s. So he had this vast bookshelf of books on me. So I was just checking out all these books because I'm fascinated by books. And I saw this one book in particular that's called The Revolution Will Not Be Funded. So I grabbed that book, man, and Bart seen me grab it. And he told me I can have it. And this book that's called The Revolution Will Not Be Funded is written by the Women's Jewish Council. And the book, The Revolution Will Not Be Funded, it breaks down why, how, that we have nonprofit organizations in America. It's called the nonprofit industrial complex. And so you wonder why so many black people, when they become successful, want a nonprofit. Well, in this book, it breaks down, the Jewish Council breaks down why nonprofits were created in America. Nonprofits were created to hinder and control social movements after the Civil Rights Movement. So that's why your churches are nonprofits, because they are now a controlled movement. So once I read that book, homie, and understood that book, there was no way I can continue trying to help my community with a 501c3. The revolution will not be funded. Why do you think it's so many black people with nonprofits and they rely on funding? A nonprofit is a poor beggar. You don't see black people trying to set up 501c4s. Everybody's going to a 501c3, including a church, tax exemption. So when they created that, so when George Bush came along and George Bush created a national initiative that was called a faith-based initiative. This faith-based initiative allowed the church and state to get in bed with each other. And church and state is supposed to be separate based on the Constitution. Why do you think they have political meetings and let political candidates come to the church and speak at the church? That shouldn't be allowed. Church and state is supposed to be separate. So now all of your black churches are now 501c3s who give tax exemption from the government. They can't even speak against the government. They'll lose their tax exemption status. So once I read that book, homie, it changed my whole outlook on, we can't man, I don't need no 501c3. So I let my 501c3 go. The revolution will not be funded. So I looked out into the community, homie, and so I started shaming the community to try to help me. I'm gonna call the police on you, bitch ass, for not giving me no money down here and y'all see me. So that's where it started from.
This is around what time?
Shit, 2013, 2014, 2012. 2012 to be exact.
Wow.
So once I started reading this book, I started looking to the community. Malcolm X's biggest mistake, homie, is that he started out talking outside the community, how bad white people was doing this, the white blue-eyed devil. Mm-hmm. Once he took his real shahada, went to Mecca and came back, he started looking inward and started talking about going to the liquor stores, treating their women bad, prostitution. That's what got him killed. He started talking internally. Black people are happy long as you're talking externally about the white man, this, the white. But if you look internally, so I come looking internally based off the fact that we can't get no funding. These selling dope, these doing all this here, but all these non-profits and small community organizations in your community, ain't nobody helping them, nigga. And they really trying to help kids, and I was really trying to help kids. So I went damn near 10 years, never got $1. So I couldn't feel good down at the community center feeling good, only to come home to feel horrible as a father when my kids say, Daddy, we want some ice cream, and I can't get them no ice cream. But I'm down there feeling good, though, because I'm passing out backpack, I'm passing out shoes. It's feeling good, only for me to come home. My kids saying, Daddy, Daddy, and I can't really provide for them because I'm trying to fulfill a purpose. Man, that purpose shit, nigga, I better try to get some money. I remember the old man told me one time, the old man Pop, he said, you might not want no money, but your kids do. Huh. You might be satisfied down here, nigga, helping people playing the humble, meek role, but your kids want some money, nigga. Them kids want to do some things. And nigga, that's when I snapped, homie. So I went and got the money. I left my city, went to LA and found me a job working with youth. The same shit I was doing in my city. They wouldn't give me no grant funded. I went to California, Los Angeles, California, landed a job with Diamond Dale Adolescent Group Home, homie, my dream job. Got to work the night shift. And that's what I did in LA, homie. But I couldn't land a job at home doing that. I had to leave. So that's when I realized my kid needs some money. Because I'm a hero down there in the ghetto. Everywhere else. But I come home. At home, a hero ain't nothing but a sandwich.
What do you think was so different about the structure in California versus where you was at before?
Because one thing about anywhere you from, anybody that's not where you from can easily come thrive where you're from. You can't thrive where you from because that's where you're from. You're limited because people know you, they know everything. So nigga, but a motherfucker from outside of where you from can come be supervisor, can come be manager. So nigga, I came from the outside and landed a great job.
Right.
So that was the key. So I remember the old man telling me, and for a lot of people to be great, you got to leave your city.
Yep.
For a lot of people to be great, homie, you got to leave your city because your city ain't going to let you be great. Nigga, they remember when you wasn't great. So they going to always try to remind you when you wasn't great. Your city gonna always try to remind you, man, I remember you was just old blue, man. You ain't Charleston White. They want to remind you when you were blue.
That's why rappers get killed in their hometown.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I 100% believe that.
There's a scripture, homie, in the Bible that says a prophet has no honor. This is a biblical scripture that says a prophet has no honor in their own hometown. You're not welcome in your own home, especially if you're great. That's why great gotta go to an out-of-state college. Gotta get away from home. They will never see you great at home. Once you leave and come back, then they recognize the greatness. But they got to let other people see it.